Good morning, everyone. I had a client appointment yesterday that I kind of wanted to relate to you because I think there's some information there that will be helpful when you're talking about issues you're having with your computers or possibly your network connection. So here's how it went. This was a new client that I saw yesterday. And when I was talking to her on the phone a couple of days ago and we were setting up the appointment, I said to her, what's the nature of the job? What is it that you need to have done? And she had an old laptop and she had a new laptop, and she basically wanted me to take all the data off of the old laptop, put it on the new laptop, make sure the new laptop would print to both of her printers, and just make sure everything was running okay on the new laptop. Possibly a cleanup on the old one, but that was kind of up in the air. So I walked into the appointment yesterday, and we walked into the dining room where she had everything set up. So on her dining room table, she had old laptop over here and brand new laptop over here. It was gorgeous. It was beautiful. It was a laptop that I would have loved to have had if I were to go out and buy a new laptop right now. So what we did was I kind of took a look at the old laptop, and it wouldn't even hold a charge on the battery. And I said to her, okay, so let's go over the scope of what we're doing. So we went down the list, and the last thing she said to me was, this old laptop is probably 6 or 7 years old, and it's really, really slow. And she said, this new laptop over here, it's just as slow as the old laptop, and I didn't expect that to happen with a new laptop. And she said, I'm really, really frustrated with it, and I could feel her frustration. I could feel that negativity, the negative energy just pouring off of her and out into the air. And she was just really frustrated with the entire situation. So here's what I did. I first started by taking a thumb drive and taking all the data off of her old laptop, putting it all onto a thumb drive. And then I copied all of that data onto the new laptop, got it all organized. And then, so then she decided she didn't want to use Internet Explorer as her browser. She wanted to use Firefox because that's what she had on the old laptop. So I went out to the internet and I went to the Firefox website, and I started downloading Firefox, and I thought, wow, this is a slow download. It should not be this slow. And I mentioned that to her, and she said, yeah, that laptop is just as slow as the old one. And I said, well, there's a difference in qualities that make up your speed experience on a laptop. So for one, there's the processor. The processor, depending on the age, if your processor is going to be 5 or 6 years old, like her old laptop, yeah, it's going to be slow. It's old technology. Technology has marched on since then, and there's a whole new generation of processors out right now. So the processor makes up a factor in the speed of your laptop. The second thing that factors into the speed is your memory. Now, memory is not the hard drive and what's stored on it, where all your data is stored. Memory is little tiny chips that go inside your laptop that hold short-term processes, software, data as the computer is using it. The minute you turn off the computer, the memory is wiped clean. Whereas on the hard drive, all your data stays there. So hard drive and memory, they're two different things. I think I've talked about that before. So that's a factor. So in her new laptop, she has a brand new processor. I think it was an Intel Core i5 processor. Great processor. She had 12 gigs of memory. That's a lot of memory. So it wasn't the processor and it wasn't the memory. The other thing that makes up the speed factor in a computer is the bandwidth of your internet connection. So I said to her, I'm going to run a speed test on your line, and we're going to see what kind of bandwidth you have. So I went to speedtest.comcast.net, and because she has a Comcast line, you could easily go to speedtest.centurylink.net, or you could just go to speedtest.net. And there's a little graphic there. There's always a picture of the United States with a lot of little red dots on it indicating the city that you're closest to. You just click on Start Test, and it will start running the test for you. It's going to test your upload speed and your download speed. Download speed, I believe, comes first. Upload speed comes second. So it starts testing her download speed, and it's got, you know, the little the meter, the needle meter, and of course, the farther across the arc the needle goes, the faster your bandwidth is, or the wider your bandwidth is. So the needle was kind of hovering over here. It wasn't going up here. It wasn't going over here. It was hovering up here. When the test was over, it was determined that her download speed was between 5 and 6 megabits per second. What does that mean? Well, back in the day, we all would have been doing the happy dance at 5 or 6 megabits per second because that would have been so fast. When we first had dial-up lines back in the mid-90s, 20 years ago, 56 kilobits per second download speed is what you can get out of a line. So we've progressed exponentially since then. The speed on my Comcast line hovers anywhere between 80 and 120, depending on how I'm connected. Now, your wireless connection is going to be slower than if you actually had a network cable plugged into the side of your laptop and the other end into your Wi-Fi router. That's going to give you the ultimate speed that you can get from your cable connection or your DSL connection. So I told her what the results were. And at the same time, when I was doing this, I noticed that, you know, she was sitting off in the family room on the couch doing some work, and the TV was on. And I noticed that the TV would go silent every so often. And I thought, well, she's picking up the remote and she's pausing the TV. And so she finally said to me, you know, I'm also having a problem with my TV. I'm trying to watch Netflix here while I work, and it just keeps freezing on me. So, you know, of course, everything is coming together at this point. And I said, okay, let's take a look at your modem and your Wi-Fi router. I said, where are they? So they were upstairs in her office. So she takes me upstairs into her office, and we take a look at the modem and the Wi-Fi router. And I noticed the Wi-Fi, it was a Netgear 150, I think. Anyway, it was old technology. It was probably the low end of that line of routers. So what I did was I went downstairs and I got the new laptop, brought it upstairs, grabbed myself a network cable and plugged that laptop, one end into the laptop, the other end into the Wi-Fi router. And then I did the speed test again. And oh my God, it was between 50 and 60 megabits per second. So instead of the needle going over here, it was way over here. So that tells me that her Comcast line, she was getting what she was paying for because she's paying for 50 megabits per second. So she's getting a little bit more. But on the Wi-Fi, once you take it off that wired connection and you put it on a Wi-Fi connection, hers was way down there. So it was her Wi-Fi router. And I said, you know, you'd be best served by going out and buying a new Wi-Fi router. So we got on the internet and I kind of directed her to what she should buy. I told her, first of all, start with AC technology, wireless AC. It is the latest technology. So when Wi-Fi first came about, we were looking at Wi-Fi, I think it was B. There might have been an A in there somewhere, A or B. And then we progressed and jumped up to wireless G technology, which is what we were all using back in the early to mid 90s. And then back around, I think it was 1990 or 2007, don't quote me on that, but somewhere in that ballpark, wireless N technology came out, which was much faster wireless speeds. Well, over the past couple of years, wireless AC technology has come out, and that's even faster. So when you consider the fact that over the past 20 years, with our internet experience, we've gone from dial-up up to really super high-speed lines, and we now have cell phones and tablets and laptops and computers and TVs all connected up to the internet. And if you have a slow bandwidth connection, it's going to choke. So the other story I have to tell you is I have another client, and she had a relatively new laptop, and every time she hooked that laptop up to the internet, it knocked every single device off the internet. So I went over there one day to troubleshoot, and I was looking at the network router, the Wi-Fi router, and it was wireless G technology. So I said, well, look, here, I have a spare wireless N router. Let's put that in and let's see how it goes. So we put that in, and our initial tests were that yes, everything was working fine. And I haven't heard from her since about the speed of the line or the disconnects. I'm assuming they've gone away. I really need to check with her and ask her. But if you have a wireless G Wi-Fi router, you really need to consider moving up to either wireless N, or I would consider wireless AC at this point. The price of the AC modems have really come down. You have dual band technology in wireless N and wireless AC, which means you have a 2.4 gigahertz frequency and a 5 gigahertz frequency that you can connect your devices to, and therefore separate the bandwidth on multiple devices. You might have your TV on the wireless, the 5 gigahertz frequency band, and you might have your laptops and cell phones and tablets down on the 2.4 gigahertz. That way you can stream all the stuff you want onto your TV without it affecting your other devices. So anyway, when you're talking about speed on your computer, you need to take a look at those three things. You need to take a look at the processor, the RAM, as well as your internet bandwidth. And I usually find when people are complaining about speed, it's when they're on the internet. It's not when they're doing a Word document or an Excel document or, maybe checking email through Outlook. It usually is related to going out to your browser and getting on the internet, and everything is just taking forever to load, and files are taking forever to download. So don't necessarily blame your speed issues on your laptops. Keep giving your laptops love and increase the bandwidth on your cable connection, your DSL connection, or consider upgrading your Wi-Fi router. So with that said, I think that will give you some information that will be helpful if you're having a speed issue. If you need me to help you troubleshoot, you know where to reach me, mary@computerdiva.biz. So for today, love your technology and have a great day. Thanks for listening.